Hello and welcome to Mind Matters. This time I'm going to be talking a little bit about opportunity, and particularly opportunity in the face of adversity. If you think about what's happened in the last few weeks, life has changed beyond all recognition. And I think at Christmas time I've been doing some reflective practice today, and at Christmas time we would never have considered that we would be in the situation that we're in now, even though we were aware there was coronavirus in China at that time. I don't think anybody would have considered that our lives would have changed in the way that they have in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So for us in the UK, this new normal that we find ourselves in is a real opportunity to think about and consider the way we live our lives and how we spend our time. And one of the things that I've discovered over the last 2 weeks is just how much more time I've had to be in my garden and to do my meditation, to have a longer yoga practice in the morning. Time has not felt as pressured for me now, albeit I'm not on the front line, I'm not a key worker, I'm no longer working in the NHS. But most of us aren't actually. So for most of us, we have this opportunity now to rethink the way that we live our lives. In January, I was really fortunate to be able to travel to India, to South India, which is somewhere that I've always wanted to go, with a charity that I've supported for around about 20 years now. And that 2 weeks that I spent in Tamil Nadu was transformative in itself. But in light of what has happened with COVID-19 since my return, at Bangalore and Chennai airports, everybody was wearing masks, all the staff were wearing masks, and I sort of returned to the UK and everything was business as usual. So I think I was kind of lulled into a false sense of security that things were not going to change in the way that they did. But that transformative experience for me of spending time with people in a completely different culture, a completely different way of life, with a caste system and very different mindset to the mindset that a lot of people have in the West, and certainly I've been brought up in the UK. It was a challenge to me to bear witness to those kind of attitudes, opinions, and people allowing themselves to live their lives according to those attitudes, values and opinions, and the way that they've been brought up to believe those things. So what I'm saying is that, we are all brought up in a particular family, in a particular way. We have our own tribe, we have our own culture, regardless of race, creed, religion. Our family has a culture, and we grow up with a lot of the beliefs and attitudes of our family of origin. Unconsciously, we play out those attitudes and values in the life that we live, and it's not until we actually stop or have an opportunity, an enforced opportunity to stop and reflect and challenge those things that we've always thought, the things that we've always done, the values that we've always lived our lives by. It's not until we do that we actually have a real opportunity to change. So that can happen at a point of crisis for people, and in fact it's when it usually does happen, at a point of crisis, because we're creatures of habit. We like comfort, we like to do things the way that we've always done them, and anything that pushes us beyond our comfort zone, out of our comfort zone, is quite often, for most people, something that we avoid. Now, there are always people who thrive on pushing themselves to the max, or pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, and actually really enjoy the challenge of that. But again, I think those people tend to be, in my professional experience, those people tend to be in the minority. So what this pandemic, this global pandemic, is doing for all of us is giving us the opportunities to look at things in a different way, to look at the way that we live our lives, and to question whether that is really the way that we want to continue, whether we want to continue to work in the way that we do, for the company that we do, for ourselves, for an organisation, or whether we perhaps would like to think about doing something different. Do we want to return to study? Do we want to maybe stop working for a while and travel when we're able to travel again, if we can envisage a time when we are able to travel again, either in this country or the country that we're in, or indeed internationally? All of those things are sort of, they're not known quantities at the moment, but that doesn't stop us from considering the possibility and considering what we would really like to do, how we would like to spend our lives, what is important to us. I think now more than ever, we're being given this opportunity individually, collectively, and globally to really consider what is important, what matters most, what matters to us as individuals, and what matters to us as a community, as a local community, what matters to us as a country, and what matters as a global community. Our consideration for the planet, again, that we have a huge opportunity here to really shift, to really change the way we look at our connection, on our interconnectedness with nature and with the planet and with the ecosystem. You've only got to look around the world and see how things have improved, how air quality has improved, how the birds are singing, certainly seem to be singing a lot louder, and there are a lot more of them in my garden this year. There have been dolphins in the canals in Venice, and smog has reduced. You know, that people stopping, not travelling around by car all the time, decreased rail travel, decreased buses. In a very short space of time, Mother Nature has that innate intelligence and can heal. The planet can heal in a very short space of time. So we have this opportunity to think about, what is our connection with nature? What do we want that to be? How do we want things to change in terms of how we live on this planet as guests on this planet, as a human race? And individually, you know, maybe there is something that you've wanted to do, something you've wanted to learn, some way you've wanted to travel, but you've not done that before for whatever reason. Quite often we talk ourselves out of these things. We come up with every excuse under the sun, because actually to do those things pushes us out of our comfort zone. I had that experience travelling to India in January. It's the first time that I've travelled long haul on my own without anyone else that I know. But, you know, after flipping out a bit the couple of days before I left, I arrived myself in Bangalore, managed to get there. And of course I wasn't on my own, I was on a plane full of people. But just that anxiety, that little fear, that little seed of self-doubt that can be sown in us is enough to prevent us from doing things. The things that we really aspire to do, have dreamed of doing, have wanted to do as a child, and find ourselves at the age of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 having never done those things. Now is the time to really think about what you want and what you want to do, moving forward in this new reality that we find ourselves in. Life will not be the same again, and I for one feel that that's a very good thing. You know, things had to change. Life was at too fast a pace. We were using up too many of the world's resources at too fast a pace, and now we can stop and reflect and consider and decide how to build the kind of life, the kind of community, and the kind of world that is a place that we would like to leave behind when we go, when it's our time to go. So I'm just going to leave you really with those thoughts, and to suggest that maybe over the next few weeks you allow some quiet space and time in the day. It doesn't need to be a huge amount of time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day, to be quiet, to just sit with the breath, and to maybe keep a journal, a notebook, a diary of this time. These are unprecedented times. None of us living on the planet right now have ever lived through anything like this before. So it really is a very unique experience for each and every one of us. So to keep some kind of a log of what comes up for you, the kind of feelings that you're experiencing, the kind of thoughts that you're having, the kind of reflections that you have each day, day by day, will be really interesting, not only to look back on, but also if you are able to take on board any of these ideas about transformative change in your life, then they'll be really helpful in informing that process and that journey. So I leave you now with that thought, with that opportunity, and just to remind you that you can find me on Facebook at Self-Development Leicester. I post there most days. And also what has happened in these strange times that we find ourselves living in is that more and more of my work now, which was predominantly face-to-face, is now by telephone or online. So if that's something that you feel that you would like to maybe have a chat about, maybe email me, then you can email me at Vicky, VICKI, @hotmail.com. You can also contact me, message me via my Facebook page or my Instagram. And thank you so much for joining me today, and good health to everyone.